Lesson 6, the R sound. When it comes to authentic pronunciation, this lesson is probably the most important one for an English speaker to grasp. The R sound in French can be pretty difficult for English speakers to get, right, Brandon?
Yes, it is very difficult to do, especially if you're like me and you learn Spanish first. You have a habit of wanting to roll it.
Right, because that's not the idea here. We're looking for a different sound.
It's more of a gurgling sound.
Francois, talk to us a bit about the French R sound.
So it's a R. It's down with the throat, R. And I never use it in English.
Yeah, we don't have that sound in English. We say the R's in a different way with the tongue at the roof of the mouth. So this is a key thing for getting an authentic French pronunciation. Francois, what happens if you hear someone speaking French and they say the R's wrong, like in an English way? What if they say, instead of Paris, what if they say Paris? What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, we know you're not French. That's it.
So that's a dead giveaway that someone is not a native French speaker.
Yes.
So here's the point I'd like to make in this lesson. These authentic French sounds are the sounds that make French sound like French. If you want to sound like you're speaking French, you have to make the actual French sounds. You can't just make up any old way to pronounce the letter R. And that's why we're making such a big deal about this toward the front of the book, is we want you to get the correct pronunciation from the very beginning.
Yeah, I don't think I've learned how to pronounce the R correctly until I was in college.
Exactly, and we want our listeners to get it from the very beginning, not 2 years later. Is there any other advice we could give our listeners about how to correctly pronounce the R sound?
Okay, you put the tip of your tongue behind your lower teeth, and then the back of your tongue is sort of touching your palate.
So again, the positioning of the tongue comes into play. An English speaker, when he says the R, he's going to raise the tongue to the roof of the mouth, but a French speaker is going to pronounce the sound in the back of the throat, The way I'm thinking about it is that instead of raising my tongue up to the roof of my mouth, instead I'm thinking of the back of my tongue, the very back, like where my throat is, lifting that up slightly and kind of closing off the back of the throat and pushing some air through that opening, like making a gurgling sound. That's the way I personally think of it.
For me, I feel really it's coming from the throat, as opposite to the English where it's all in the mouth.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, yes, that is.
I feel like I'm actually like gurgling, like you're gurgling water.
Yes, exactly.
So the whole point of this lesson is that the French R is completely different from an English R, so don't confuse them. Strive to get the authentic French pronunciation. It's a gurgling that takes place in the back of the throat. Francois, can you pronounce these words here for us before we go? We selected 3 words for this lesson to practice with. One has an R at the beginning, one has an R in the middle, and one has an R at the end, so we can listen to how the pronunciation sounds with the R positioned in different places within the word. So, Francois, can you help us hear what those words sound like?
René, Paris, noir.
Each time you pronounced the word, I could really hear the gurgling sound, and that's going to be great help for our listeners at home. So, folks, copy Francois, try to get that gurgling sound in the back of the throat, and from the very beginning of your French studies, try to get that authentic R sound.